was on the night of the Mi'raj. Because it was on that night, as Imam Amin told us, that Rasulullah ﷺ was raised up into the heavens, and his rank, first and foremost, his rank amongst the Prophets ﷺ was clearly defined. This miracle, part of its function is to demonstrate his superiority over the other Prophets ﷺ. But this deen and the ummah of Rasulullah ﷺ was also given its victory on that night in the form of the prayer. It's on that night that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted us this great gift, the 5 prayers as we perform them today, giving them to Rasulullah ﷺ that he might bring them to us. This ultimately was the victory that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had promised Rasulullah ﷺ. Even in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala defines success for this ummah in terms of the prayer itself. Every day we hear this. Perhaps we're heedless and we don't think of it, but every day when the muezzin stands to give the azan, we're reminded of this fact, because what does he say? Hayya al-salah, hayya al-salah, hayya al-falah, hayya al-falah. Come to the prayer, come to the success, come to the very definition of success, not the means towards success, not a path towards success, but the very definition of success itself. And we have to remember that during this year when Rasulullah ﷺ was raised up into the heavens, the objection that the people of Makkah had against him ﷺ was nothing other than the fact that he wanted to establish the prayer there within Masjid al-Haram. This is all he wanted ﷺ. And this is what they objected to. This was during that time when he ﷺ would go to perform the prayer there at the Kaaba, and the mushrikeen would come and they would throw the entrails, na'udhu billah, the entrails of camels on his back as he performed the prayer. This is what they objected to, the sajda of Rasulullah ﷺ. So the victory that was coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the falah that was coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala came on the night of the Mi'raj in the form of the prayer. And what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say in the Quran? Describing the successful believers. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ. Successful are those believers, those of them who perform the prayer with devotion. This is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala defines success for us. And there's a great lesson in this verse and in the miracle of the Mi'raj, especially for those of us who are living here in this country. Whether you came here as immigrants, or you might be the children of immigrants, or you were born here and came to Islam after having been raised here, at times our intentions and our desires and our ambitions are misplaced. We seem to think that what this community here in the United States needs is success as it's defined by our neighbors. We tend to think that what we need are associations of Muslim professionals, organizations that will demonstrate that we have economic and political strength. We seem to think that our ultimate goal should be some sort of economic and political representation in this country. Undoubtedly, most of you who came here, your intentions probably were to seek education, to seek a more comfortable life for your families. Undoubtedly this was the case, and there's nothing wrong in that, but the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that brought you here was not so that you find success in those fields. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought you here so that the prayer could be established here, so that success could be brought to this country, so that victory could be brought to this country. As Imam Amin mentioned, one of the unique virtues of this ummah, one of the great gifts granted to Rasulullah ﷺ, and something that we benefit from, is that unlike previous ummahs of the other Anbiya ﷺ, the entire earth, if it is pure, is a masjid for us. Every continent is the masjid of Rasulullah ﷺ. Every inch of this earth that is clean is the masjid of Rasulullah ﷺ. So that in coming here, you are being brought here by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to realize the fact, to perform the prayer, to make sajda in the masjid of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam here. And the Miraj is a great reminder, if understood within the context of the greater biography of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This great miracle occurred in the year of sorrows, the year of suffering for this ummah. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did a remarkable thing. First with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, what does he do? He says that if the people of the earth are closing their doors in the face of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, if the inhabitants of the earth will not welcome Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, then open the gates of Jannah so that inshallah ta'ala the inhabitants of the heavens will welcome him sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This is the gift for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This is his victory. But then he sends him back sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to us with our victory, with our success in the form of the prayer. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this blessed gathering where we have come to remember Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, during this blessed month in which Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam sought blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sought blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the month of Rajab and the month of Sha'ban, so that we could reach the month of Ramadan, so that we could perform the prayer even more, so that we could establish the prayer with greater certainty. We ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us that wisdom to see success truly as being in the establishment of the prayer. We ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the tawfiq to establish the prayer in this country, and to establish in our hearts this iman in Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, understanding his rank, understanding his virtue, understanding the great things that have come to us from the hand of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the great things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, so that he then could give them to us sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Jazakallahu khairan, alhamdulillah rabbil alamin.